Leading up to the NBA draft, the Raptors were involved in nearly every single trade rumor, with most of the buzz surrounding the question of whether they would package their pick with RJ Barrett or Emmanuel quickly and try to make some moves. Toronto's general manager, Bobby Webster, confirmed that they were very active in looking for a deal heading up into the draft. However, despite all the buzz and their supposed activity, like always, the Raptors decided to stay put at the 9th pick and selected their guy in Colliin Murray-Boyles. But who is CMB and how does he fit into Toronto's budding young roster? After last year's draft cycle, CMB was touted as one of the best returning players to college and someone to watch out for this year. And it's really not hard to see why. In his sophomore year, CMB elevated his game across the board, averaging 16.8 points, 8.3 rebounds, 2.4 assists, with 1.5 steals and 1.3 blocks a night, while shooting 58% from the field, 26% from 3, and 70% from the free throw line on 5.9 attempts. At 6'6" barefoot, CMB projects more as a tweener forward than a small ball 5, but his 7-foot wingspan and 8'10" standing reach will help him overcome some of the size disadvantages he has, and he could see some minutes as a small ball 5 with the Raptors. Diving into his game in college, CMB was just a dominant inside scoring force, operating out of the post and the short corners, using his combination of strength, solid footwork, and a soft touch to create buckets out of ISO possessions. As is clear by his impressive 5.9 free throw attempts, he isn't afraid of contact and has no problem taking a bump and finishing through it or getting himself to the free throw line, where he is a pretty respectable 70.7%. CMB has also shown the ability to face up and drive by flat-footed bigs with a surprising quick first step. While he is operating out of the post, he also does a good job of hitting cutters and finding the open man, and has an overall high basketball IQ on both sides of the floor. And that ability to kind of operate out of the mid-floor as a hub is perfect for the Raptors' style of offense, where they're already looking to make quick passes and have a ton of player movements. Having another player who can, operate in the middle of the court and read everyone and make those right passes is perfect and helps the team keep that style going while Yak is on the bench. Of course, his lack of a 3-ball is a big concern, as Toronto has struggled from outside the last few seasons, and with a handful of non-shooters in the front court already, it will be hard to make the spacing work always when you have, Scotty, Jonathan Mobo, Jakob all out there in some combination alongside CMB, but all those guys, including CMB, are high IQ players with good passing feel for the game, and there are more ways to space the floor than just standing behind the 3-point line. You can space it vertically around the basket as lob threats, or you can space it, east to west within the 3-point line using dominant passing and quick decision making in the front court. And I think CMB brings that alongside the players the Raptors already have, like Scotty and Yak, who are great, excellent passers. While he has an old school yet promising offensive skill set where he can score out of the post in ISO and has a little bit of a dribble drive game, what truly makes CMB so promising is his defensive impact. The dude is just a high motor, high activity defender, and that's also just clear from the box score with 1.5 steals and 1.3 blocks a night. But his impact extends far beyond the box score. Despite being 6'6" and a little stocky, CMB had no problem switching on ball screens and containing the guard if he had to. He's also strong enough to hang in the post or take bumps from bigger players, and that switchability is vital in today's pick and roll heavy league. He can guard, he can step out, guard the ball, and contain the handler, or he can switch and stay with the bigger man. If they're running, a 4-5 pick and roll, a 3-5 pick and roll, CMB can switch those possessions. He also does a great job of just reading the court and making sure he is positioned properly. He uses that good position to be a pretty elite help side rim protector and just an overall, I would say, threat detector, reading the floor and quickly switching off of his man to take away an open look or an erase a passing lane, or just an attack at a loose dribble. His high motor means he is constantly giving that second and third effort needed to truly be great defensively. And for this Raptors team who's looking to build a defensive identity, you want players like that who are going to go out there, they're going to switch, they're going to go for the rebound, they're going to go then run out to the 3-point line, and CMB brings that activity. But unlike most guys who are very active and aggressive defenders, he does a good job of staying out of foul trouble, only picking up 2.5 fouls a night. Now that we know him, How does he fit in Toronto? First, a lot of his scoring came through the post where he was bullying players with his strength. That will be harder to do against NBA competition just because of the size and strength of these grown men, but I don't think it will be just a complete write-off for him. This is a guy who found ways to score before, and he'll do it again. The Raptors are also very unlikely to feed him in the post frequently, which means he will have to find other ways to score, but I believe his physicality would help him get to the line a couple of times, and he should be able to punish switches, having a decent post game, something that a lot of young prospects lack in today's NBA, which is such a key because if teams are going to switch 1 through 5, you need players who can punish that, and he seems like someone who can. But I think out of the occasional mismatch in the post and, just kind of getting to the line off of a drive or out of the post, he's going to be scoring mostly off of cuts and putbacks. And that's fine for a defense first type of player like him. I imagine he'll get some time as a small ball 5, especially if they're going to put out lineups of like Jonathan Mobo, Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, and like Emmanuel Quickley or Jacoby Walter. I think that he can survive in those types of small ball lineup, but I think he'll spend most of his time as a backup power forward or small forward, with him and Jonathan Mobo competing for a lot of the same minutes, and I think that competition is good for both players. I think that while his shooting, which he does lack from 3, like he's just not a good 3-point shooter yet, will ultimately determine his ceiling and if he can be a starter or if he is more just like a weird small ball 5 tweener 4-3. I do think his floor is just pretty solid as a good defender, kind of a Swiss Army knife type of guy on that end who can score a little bit and punish a mismatch. I think he's going to see run right away with Toronto, and I think he's just another young, interesting player to add to this exciting budding roster.